2026 is starting strong and Virtuous Protocol is one of the best performers so far. The question is, how much longer can this rally last? Will Virtuous Protocol continue to outperform? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, the data most people are not considering. Now here we've got a relative price chart. How is Virtuous Protocol doing relative to other altcoins? I like those kind of charts because it gives us an idea of the idiosyncratic movements. When is Virtuous Protocol doing better than the rest of the altcoin market? And when does it rather tend to underperform? By using relative valuation charts, we take away the general ups and downs of all of crypto. We are looking at whether or not an asset at a particular point in time is worth specifically allocating to. Now there is potentially some more upside from here, more than 30%. Since the beginning of the year, the Virtual Protocol has outperformed by 56%. Now why is that? Who's buying here? Who's selling here? And will those buyers continue to buy? Now this rally is not due to the current usage of Virtual. Because what we see over here, that's the amount of fees that get generated on the platform over time. Yes, it did slightly bump up in the last few days, but it's very far away from hitting the $1 million mark that it used to hit in prior rallies. We are now at $62,000 generated in fees. Here's the number of virtual tokens that get staked over time. Unfortunately, this is going down. This is somewhat stabilizing, but the general trend is negative. Now, why is this bad? It's bad because when tokens get unstaked, they very likely also get sold. And when the contrary is true, as in when the number of staked tokens is going up, that means the liquid supply tends to rather shrink. The supply gets locked away. So unfortunately, since June of last year, there is some selling pressure from the investors that unstake their virtual tokens. Now what you see over here, that's the number of decentralized exchange buyers of the virtual token. Interestingly enough, this is not going up. Over here, we've got the number of virtual holders on the Ethereum chain. Now there's also a token on Solana that has quite a bit of adoption, but most liquidity is still on ETH and on the base chain. Here we've got the number of token launches. And this chart doesn't look that great either, right? It seems like at the beginning, virtuals had a huge run up and then the platform tended to rather slow down. Now, this is not the first video on virtuals on this channel. I publish videos on virtual itself, also on related ecosystem tokens, and we're trying to identify where currently the momentum is headed. The very first video was published in October of 2024 when the price was still at 41 cents. Subsequently, we went above $4. So this is when the first video got published. So if you want to be early with upcoming videos, then feel free to subscribe over here. Now, all of the data that we have so far checked out for virtuals doesn't really justify the recent rally. Why is the price going up that much? Why is virtual outperforming the rest of the altcoin market? We went from $64 all the way up to $1.13, an increase of 76%. And while the market in general is going up, it's not money flowing into crypto. This is the stablecoin market cap. Over the last 3 months, we saw this expand by only 0.8%. And usually during a bull market, it tends to go up much, much quicker. Now, here's one of the reasons why Virtuous Protocol is getting more attention than other cryptocurrencies. There's going to be an AI agent marketplace that's about to launch on January 15. So this might be a sell the news event. It might make sense to buy the rumor and sell the news. But another potential reason is the partnership of Virtuous Protocol with a robotics company, OpenMind AGI. A lot of the demand that we currently see for Virtuous Protocol is very short term, as in people are using leverage to buy virtual. People are not using the blockchain. They're not buying tokens directly on the spot market. In the last 24 hours, we saw 90 million worth of trading volume on Upbit on the spot market. But on the perpetual futures, we saw close to 400 million of trading volume, and that was on Binance. Now, if you've been around for a bit, you know about the 10th of October. This was a massive crash in many altcoins, and that was due to perpetual futures. Virtuous Protocol at that time fell by 73%. The average altcoin fell by 49%. The market makers and algorithmic trading was able to buy up the dip. So this was only a crash that lasted a few minutes. But it was enough of a crash to liquidate many perpetual futures traders. And so 12 million worth of longs have lost everything. The price crashed and the funding rate turned negative as well. So that means there were more people betting on falling prices than on rising prices because all the longs, they lost their shirt. And so subsequently, after the 10th of October, we saw a short squeeze. So the investors that were still remaining in Virtual's protocol, all of the short investors, they got squeezed out by the market makers because then they bought up Virtual on the spot market, liquidating the shorts as well. So first it was the longs that got liquidated, the people that bet on rising prices. Then it was the shorts that got liquidated, the people that bet on falling prices. And so after both sides got liquidated, the funding rate normalized again. It's now much more balanced. And interestingly enough, this time the rally in Virtual's protocol is not due to a short squeeze. The funding rate is not as negative as it used to be at the end of October when we rallied. So the cause of this rally is not just manipulation by market makers that push out people betting on falling prices. This could be a news-driven rally. It's excitement about the future. It's not related to the current usage of Virtual's protocol. The long-term holders are still skeptical. We still see unstaking, and the number of launched tokens is extremely low. But it's quite likely that this Virtual rally will last a bit longer. Probably Virtual will not do another 2-3x from here, but the current rally can very easily continue for another 20-30%. Because have a look at the open interest. It's currently at 121 million. There is a lot of correlation between the Virtual price and the amount of bets on the price. So when there's more bets, when there's more open interest, then the Virtual price itself is likely also going to rise. The open interest could easily hit 200 million from here. And so we are just back to where we started, Virtual relative to the rest of the altcoin market. This is a rally that's driven by short-term speculative capital. It's not just a short squeeze, but historically we have seen rallies like this expand more. And so seeing Virtual short-term outperform by another 30%, potentially a bit more, is my personal base case. The price can very easily hit 140, 150. And that's also where just in the US dollar chart, we've got potential resistances. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or potentially see you in Premium. This is where I share my own trades. This is where you can also invest into my trading and then automatically copy trade whatever I'm currently doing. See you next time. Bye-bye.